Welcome to the first episode of Lazy Tech Reviews. So this is the A7C, and when I saw it I had to get it because I have the A7R3 right here, right? And I love this camera. It is amazing. The thing is that, I do traveling quite a bit, and it's not a big camera, but it's not really super small and compact. And when you put on, a lens, right? This is the Sigma 35 f1.4. I mean, it's a hefty camera. It's heavy, and people are going to definitely see you with a big camera. So when I saw the A7C, I had to get it. You're definitely making some sacrifices, but I don't really think it's a big deal. Yeah, from the A7R3, you're going from 42 megapixels down to 24. That's probably the biggest sacrifice that I care about. So let's take a look at this thing. But everything else, I mean, it's pretty much the same as the A7 III, minus a few things. Woo! First thing I definitely recognize is it's lighter. It is lighter than the A7R3. Is there a battery? Maybe. Oh yeah, there's no battery in it. Let's put a battery in it. Some batteries in here. Are these? Yeah, I think. Okay, so light here. It's noticeable. Granted, this one has a little strap on it. I don't think that's adding any weight, but it's noticeable. Let's get the scale out and see what the difference is here. It's not that big of a difference. But when you're reducing weight, every little bit matters. Okay? So here's just a little kitchen scale here. Let's put it in grams. 518. $679. Quite a bit of difference there. So let's compare the size. Here, hang on. Let me take this camera strap off. Okay, so I got the strap off here so we can compare the size. And let's see if we can get a little closer here. I'm filming this on the Galaxy Z Fold 2. So when we're looking dead on, the thickness is about the same in terms of the body portion of it, right? Kind of the main square. And it's a little flatter, right? So when we're looking at the height, you can tell that the body itself is only like a millimeter shorter than this body. The width is pretty much the same. So you're getting that flatness on the top, right? Which, I mean, just looking at these two cameras, right? So this was my previous setup. I have the 35 millimeter f1.4 Sigma on the A7R3. And now on switching to more compact and lightweight, because I think that's superior to quality for my use case. You know, I'm just a hobbyist photographer. And so what I got here is the Samyang 35mm f2.8, and this thing is tiny. I think this is the tiniest lens that you can get for the full frame E-mount in terms of thickness. It's thicker than the Sony. I mean, sorry, thinner than the Sony. The Sony's slightly bigger. So putting that on the A7C, I mean, there's a massive difference between these two cameras. Yeah, I do have the, you know, oversized viewfinder on there, viewfinder hood. So yeah, let's just compare these viewfinders here. I mean, that's a huge difference. Obviously the A7R3 is going to have a much better viewfinder. Let's see if we can take a look in the viewfinder. This is my first time looking through the viewfinder, and my first reaction here looking through this viewfinder is, you can't really see that, I'll try and show you here in a minute, but my first reaction when I put this up to my eye is it's not as bad as I was expecting, because everyone was, you know, complaining basically that this eyepiece is garbage and it's so small, which, and some people say that the resolution is worse, but I think it's the exact same resolution. This one just has less magnification, so the screen is smaller. Correct me if I'm wrong on the resolution part, but here I'm looking through it right now and it looks pretty good. I'm not going to have a problem with this at all. Yeah, it's definitely not as nice as the other one. In fact, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put this one on my right eye and this one on my left eye at the same time. Let's see what this looks like. I got like robo vision right now. Oh damn, I actually have kind of a 3D vision effect from looking through these at the same time. So right eye is nice, left eye, it's not that, I mean, it's smaller. It's smaller. But it's not that bad. Like, I can definitely use this as my camera and not worry about it. You hear the difference in that noise? Versus this. That's because, what the heck's going on here? It's not taking a picture. That's because it has a half shutter, half mechanical shutter and half electronic shutter. So I think that this viewfinder is going to be perfectly fine for me, and I'm using this mainly as a photography camera. You know, I want to start shooting more videos, but that's not something I do currently, right? And so this selfie thing is pretty cool. So I want to shoot more videos, but currently I mainly just do photography, and this eyepiece is fine for just a hobbyist, you know, camera. I mean, a hobbyist photographer that you know, just wants to get the camera out and take some pictures from time to time, especially if you're just traveling. You know, you want a camera for family photos and events and things like that. It's going to be more pleasant to have a more compact camera. Another big gripe that people were saying is the grip isn't big enough. Here's my first impression on that. So this grip right here, this feels good. This is solid. When I switch to this, let me hold this up to my eye. It feels perfectly fine. It's definitely not as good of a grip, but this is so light compared to this. And yeah, obviously I could put this lens on this camera, but I just kind of want to get an idea of the difference in my setup here that So it's 2 pounds, 15 ounces, basically 3 pounds. I was carrying that camera around. And this is 1 pound. So this is 1 pound, 4 ounces, right? So about a third the weight almost, right? So that is a humongous difference in portability. And I've been testing this lens out, and it takes, I mean, for what I do, great photos. Focuses really well. Yeah, this is a pretty exciting difference for me. And it's just more discreet, right? So if you're out, you know, traveling internationally, you know, walking through the streets, taking photos, like, you know, it just, it's nicer to have a small camera. You know, you're not just like just some obnoxious guy with a massive camera out there taking pictures of everything. It's definitely just more comfortable to have a small camera. People don't notice it as much. So this is definitely not, you know, a pocketable camera, right? Like you can't put this in your pocket. Let me just see. Here's me trying to put it in my pocket. I mean, technically, if you had some big pockets, you could put it in there. In fact, I mean, it's in my pocket right now. So I'm sure you guys know most of the differences between these two cameras by the time you get to this review, because I'd be surprised if anyone even watches this. So I just wanted to highlight the two things that I was concerned about and give you my impression here. And that was, is this viewfinder really that crappy? And, you know, is the grip that bad? And my answer is the viewfinder's not bad. Like, it kind of reminds me of, you know, the Sony, the really compact Sony that has the pop-up viewfinder. You know, similar look to that, which I actually used one of those for a while, and it, you know, it worked okay. This one's probably a little better than that. So yeah, obviously this one's gonna have a much better viewfinder. I mean, you can swap out the hoods. Let's see if I can do a comparison here. If you can actually see this. Why is it not switching? There we go. Look. This is the A7R3. Let me take this, well, I could take the hood off and you probably see it better, but to kind of give you a good idea. A7R3 viewfinder. Compared to the A7c viewfinder. So this might be, this is a good thing. You know, I was actually looking for a video like this to just see the size comparison, but it's really hard for me to line this up. It should get focus. Come on. But there, you have some idea of the size difference there. Sorry, I had to angle the camera at a weird angle here just to get it to fit up to the eyepiece. Let me see if I can, there we go. It's upside down right now. The tripod was in the way, that's why I couldn't really get a good. So yeah, A7C. So definitely different size. Another thing people gripe about is you're missing the joystick for, you know, moving the spot, but you can literally just touch on the screen where you want to focus. You don't need a joystick. Honestly, I never used that joystick one time, you know. I mean, I'm sure other people use it a lot more than me, but I never used it. I mean, you can literally just touch where you want to focus. It's definitely useful if you're looking through the viewfinder and you want to do that. But honestly, most of the time, I'm not tapping on where I want to focus anyway. I'm letting the autofocus system do everything for me, so I don't even need that. So for me, I don't care that there is no joystick. What else were people complaining about? Oh, all the custom buttons are gone. Yeah, I mean, it's nice to have a few custom buttons, but for me, you know, I would always set the custom buttons and then honestly, you know, I never even use them that much. Occasionally it was nice, but I honestly would kind of forget what I even set everything up. I mean, I take a lot of photos, but you know, for the most part, the camera is set up how I want it to. I don't need to be using all these buttons and stuff. You know, I set it up to how I want to take pictures, and I take pictures like that. You know, I know you're for professional, obviously you want to make a bunch of adjustments and stuff, but for the majority of people, you don't need that. You know, if you're just taking pictures, you know, you set it up how you want, and you go from there. I mean, you got the function button here, which you can set up for all your different settings. You know, it's not touchscreen. I mean, this is ridiculous, though. Neither of these are touchscreen. I mean, in terms of the menu operation, which is, I mean, it's 2021, and we don't have a freaking smart camera operating system on the best selling camera, you know, mirrorless cameras. It's just insane, you know. But I guess, you know, they want to just keep all these manual controls, but they could do both. I mean, yeah, I mean, everyone understands, but yep, those are my first impressions, you know, unboxing of the Sony A7C. Let's see what else we got in this box. Looks like a charger. This is strange. Isn't that a strange looking charger? The output is 5 volts, 1.5 amps. So just a USB charger. I've never really seen one set up that way with like a plug. But I guess so you can have a longer thing. What else is in this box? We got, looks like some cable. USB-A to USB-C cable. And then, you know, the plug for that charger. The flaps. These are nice. I would definitely agree with everyone that these are nicer than the previous ones. Still like a little flimsy, you know? Like I wish they would have made them like a hard door, you know? Definitely an improvement, but you know, I guess it works. It just still kind of feels like, listen to that. I don't know, I feel like they could make it more solid, but maybe they make it flimsy so that it, you know, it's more durable. Flip screen. You know, let's compare the size of the screens. I mean, looks like the screen size is exactly the same. So this one obviously can flip up, and that's about it. Flip down. Whereas this one, first of all, if you want to flip it up, you got to flip it all the way out and then hold it like this. Because I shoot a lot like this, you know, when I'm kind of holding the camera low and I'm crouching down. I shoot like this a lot. So for now, I'm going to have to shoot like this, which is kind of weird because then you can't really hold the camera as well. But I guess it's, you know, it's light enough that you could hold it with one hand. You know, it's got the selfie flip, which is nice. these are the other two lenses that I got for this setup here. The Samyang 75mm f1.8. So this is to replace my Sony 85mm f1.8, you know, which I would use for portraits. And I took a few shots with it yesterday. I just got it. So this is a really compact setup that you can get some very, very nice portraits with. Mid-range zoom, really large aperture, very compact. Focus here. Okay, yeah, you can see it's got a mode switch, focus ring. It's a Samyang. So I bought a couple of these Samyang lenses, and I'm impressed with them. I mean, they're not, the greatest thing in the world, but they're super small. This is the 18mm f2.8, and let's just take I need to put a card in here. I mean, look at that bokeh. It's just a cup on the edge of my edge of my counter. So the focus depth here, 0.69 meters. So you can't get too close. That's why I wasn't focusing. But yeah, I mean, that bokeh is really nice. So I love this lens here. So this is a really compact setup for portraits. Now, if we take off the 75mm, put on the 18mm. Still pretty compact compared to the 75mm. It's a little bit shorter. About double the size of the 35mm. And you have a super wide angle lens for landscapes, scenes, and if you're traveling, this is a great lens because you can really capture everything around you. You know, if you're indoors and you want to capture a scene, this is a great focal length for that. So here's my setup. So it's going to be these three lenses I'm going to carry, and that's about it. Right, so that is a big change from my previous setup here. So most of the time I'm going to be using the 35mm. That's a great focal length for just about everything, right? So this is going to be how I'm normally going to carry it around. It comes with this strap, but it's kind of obnoxious with its Sony logo on it. So I've got this strap that I just took off the A7Riii that I'm going to use for it. So I'll put that on real quick so you guys can see it. Okay, I got the strap on here. This is what I'm going to be carrying it with. This is just a cheap little rope strap from Amazon. $15, black. Really like that. Looks good. Works well. So yeah. This is the new Sony A7c. And let me try one more thing. So if you wanted to take a really nice portrait with the Sony A7c, you could get out your Sigma 135 f1.8 here and attach that bad boy right here. And so now we have a really nice portrait set up. Can't focus that close. And so this, you're basically just carrying a lens around, right? So you're going to want to basically just hold it with your hand and just snap it, right? Because this has no weight at all back here. You're literally just carrying a lens around with this little piece of plastic attached to it. Which this lens is heavy. Let's see how much this weighs. Alright, so 3 pounds, 13 ounces. So that's a little obnoxious, but you could take really nice pictures with this. So what do you think? This is my camera setup. I'm going to be selling the A7. I'm going to be selling the A7Riii. I'm going to be selling the Sigma 35 f1.4 and the Sony 85mm f1.8. And so this will be my new setup here with these 4 lenses and this camera. Thanks for watching, guys.